Do you have an e-commerce challenge? Of course you do. Who doesn't? Awin has you covered, thank goodness. With Awin's affiliate platform, brands of all sizes can unlock endless marketing opportunities and reach consumers absolutely everywhere and choose partners that fit their goals. Control costs, customize programs, and drive real results. Learn more at awin.com/eMarketer and schedule a platform demo today. Hey gang, it's Wednesday, August 6th. Suzy, Sky, and listeners, welcome to Reimagining Retail, an eMarketer podcast made possible by Awin. I'm Marcus, your host for today. And joining me for the conversation, we have two people. Let's meet them. Vice President of Content, heading up our retail desk, based in New York. It's Suzy Davidkhanian.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. And we have with us our Principal Retail Analyst living down in Austin, Sky Canaves.
Hey Marcus, how's it going?
Hello there. Very good. How are you?
Great, thanks. Sorry, I just lagged.
You just what?
There's a little lag.
Oh, you
we can do that.
It was
We
a
can
redo
do that
it was?
again.
Oh,
We can
okay.
do that again.
No. We'll power through. Suzy didn't even ask. So the fact that it took you 5 seconds to answer, Sky, you're still way out in front.
Thank God it's not a game.
Yeah, you've lost already.
I lost before we started.
You did
so
indeed.
Come on.
Today's real topic: how the holiday shopping calendar has evolved / is evolving. All right, so Summerween spreads as Walmart mirrors Michael's early Halloween play. Writes our Zach Stambor. He explains that Walmart has begun rolling out Summer Frights Halloween displays in about 1,000 US stores, featuring quirky early season items like watermelon jack-o'-lanterns to tap into consumers' growing appetite for playful, off-season Halloween decor, which has been gaining traction on TikTok and Instagram. Suzy, Summerween, is it here to stay?
Okay, wait. So before we talk about Summerween, I think we need to talk about something a little bit broader in that we're not talking about holidays like Christmas and Hanukkah. We're talking about market share events or like events where all the retailers sort of can get around it across the entire calendar. And so that's everything from the Hallmark style man-made ones like Valentine's Day to the like promo driven July 4th ones that everybody's participating in. Because then there's also like the Amazon Prime, which was an original retailer event like the Kohl's Days or Kohl's Cashback Days or, lowest price of the season that has turned into what we are now calling holiday that everybody participates in. And I think those are all really important for a retailer to understand the nuances, especially between emotional gift giving versus cultural moments like the back to Summerween, these cultural moments that are not an extension of Halloween. So Halloween is now starting in July. It's like a separate thing.
Yeah. Normally I'm furious when you don't answer the question, but I think we should have actually started here with the definition, like what are we talking about? I made a mini list myself. It's kind of the ones that you've touched on, but I tried to break these out. So I'm going to spit these at you and then Sky, I'll turn to you. You can tell me what you think we should be including in this conversation. So I've got the bank holidays. So it's going to be MLK Day, President's Day, Memorial, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Then you've got the big kind of made up co-opted shopping ones, the Valentine's Day, the Easter, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Halloween. Then you've got the smaller kind of ones that people still buy things for, St. Patrick's Day, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Small Business Saturday, Green Monday. And then you've got those retailer invented ones, Amazon's Prime Day, Wayfair's Way Day, Target's Deal Days, Walmart's Holiday Deals, etc. What are we talking about? Which one of these? All of them?
I think so. All of the above. They're all opportunities for retailers to boost sales, increase shopping activity, and in some cases there are like strong cultural or emotional associations around them, around gift giving. And I've seen in my lifetime some of these events evolve from, fairly cultural ones into ones that are a lot more retail driven. I'm thinking about how Halloween has extended from a single day into now a whole possibly month of festivities, and now there's a summer version of it. And even Easter, when I was growing up, we put some candy in a basket and called it a day. And nowadays, a lot of parents are making even more elaborate baskets with big presents and toys and all sorts of things. And it becomes a much more consumer-oriented event.
Well, and I think that brings a really good point, right? So there's like these community moments, and with social, everything is becoming bigger and sort of more like take pictures and talk about it. And retailers are capitalizing on that, but they're also creating these other moments. Like, so we are now talking about Summerween, which is completely different from Halloween, but not. But then there are these like weird extensions like Galentine's Day and Friendsgiving, which is just another hopefully authentic way for a brand to get in to another moment in time, ultimately trying to drive sales, right? These, like, if you think about all the holidays that you said, every month has one or two things that help a retailer sort of plan ahead and think about how to drive traffic to their website or to their store that is separate from the seasonality of summer, spring, winter, fall sort of clothing.
Mm-hmm. All right, Suzy. So, Summerween, is it here to stay?
Well, I think it's been here for so long. It's just recent that the retailers are jumping on it. Apparently, it started in 2012 from a show called Gravity Falls, and it was really more of a subculture niche thing. And then in 2020s, it's so weird to say that, in the 2020s, with social media, it became a little bit more viral and a little bit broader. And then last year in 2024, it hit it big. But if a retailer tries to pretend like it's Halloween early, they've missed the mark on this new holiday, because it's really about decorations, fans of horror movies, people who love the genre. It's not about dressing up in costumes and having candy.
Okay. So apparently it's not just shopping for Halloween in the summer. People also buying Christmas gifts as well. Forget Black Friday. Economic anxiety is leading to Christmas in July, writes Kaylin Rohn of the New York Times. She points out the folks are starting their holiday shopping earlier this year using summer sales from retailers like Amazon and Walmart to save time and money. She was pointing to Catherine Sproul in the piece, saying that they've been stockpiling gifts for the December holidays since June, hunting for summer sales across big box retailers and then stashing them for later. Miss Rohn from the Times saying that Black Friday no longer marks the beginning of the holiday retail season, as a growing number of shoppers and retailers are embracing what's being called Christmas in July. Macy's, one such example, running Black Friday in July sales event for 5 days starting July 23rd, and a Christmas in July sale on July 25th for the first time, offering holiday and general merchandise. Skye, in your opinion, what's the earliest you could see the majority of people starting their holiday shopping? Because this is some people, but you can argue that you need to get to critical mass before this becomes the norm.
Right. And I think most shoppers are still going to start in the fall months because that's just when it makes sense for most people. But we are seeing more shopping taking place earlier. That's been an ongoing trend, and it's picking up again this year. Civic Science noted an uptick of about 5 percentage points in the number of consumers, or the share of consumers, who had started their holiday shopping by July 1st. To more than 20% this year from last year. And I think big sale events like Amazon's extended Prime Day at the beginning of July adds to that impetus of a good time to stock up. This year is so unusual because shoppers are so concerned about the price increases that are on the horizon, and retailers have pulled up so much inventory, and they don't want that sitting around and take the chance that they're going to have to mark it down so much more later in the season when consumers feel like they have less money to spend. So they're pushing the sales now, and I think more shoppers are biting.
Yeah, that Civic Science research I thought was very telling, because 20% is a fair amount of people. Some other research pointing to this shift: 62% of US adults starting their shopping for holiday gifts before November begins, according to ESW, 37% as early as September. And then some more research from Civic Science: 50% of US holiday shoppers starting before Thanksgiving. That was last year, and that was up 6 points from the year before that. Suzy, Ted Rossman, a senior industry analyst for Bankrate, thinks COVID-19 is responsible for pushing the timeline up even earlier, because then we had supply chain issues and concerns over not getting gifts in time. What do you make of buying Christmas gifts in July? At first, it sounded kind of crazy, but the more I think about it, especially this piece from Miss Rohn, it argues that why not? Black Friday hasn't always existed. BBC article noting that the phrase came from police officers in the city of Philadelphia, describing the chaos of the Friday after Thanksgiving as people rushed to the shops to buy Christmas presents. And then in the 80s, retailers and businesses took it and started using it as a phrase to suggest that, or to talk about, define how they've started to turn a profit. But you don't have to buy gifts then. They didn't before. So why not the summer?
So it's such an interesting question. I don't think it has anything to do with COVID. If anything started the buying it in July, it was when Amazon started to doing their Prime Day. This is not a new thing, Black Friday in July. I think it depends who you're buying gifts for, right? If you're buying gifts for someone that is younger, who's looking for the latest, greatest, coolest thing, then you might be waiting. And if as a gift giver, you are a thoughtful person that you see something and you're like, this would be perfect for so-and-so, then you might even do that in March, right? Because it won't matter so much about what's trending, but it'll be about that perfect gift for that person that you're buying for. So I don't think that there is any sort of correlation between COVID and things moving earlier. The only correlation could potentially be budgets were a little bit tighter, inventory was a little bit strained, and we're starting to see that again now. So that could be the correlation, but I don't think it has anything to do with the holidays and a net new concept of shopping earlier.
Yeah.
Well, I think the COVID challenges did create that new October sale period, which is now firmly entrenched in the holiday or retail calendar, because Amazon had to delay its 2020 Prime Day into October.
Good
And
point.
then that kind of sparked the idea of, hey, having a big October Prime member sale, which is now taking place. We expect it to take place again and really be a big boost for Amazon and other retailers as well. Although its bigger impact on the holiday shopping calendar is a little in question, because it seems like at least last year a lot of consumers used these events to stock up on essentials rather than necessarily buying the hot gift items that they're looking for.
Well, and that's these events when they're tentpole, when they're like the holidays, and here I'm thinking about Christmas and Hanukkah, or back to school, or maybe to a smaller extent Valentine's Day, and there's an emotional connection as a gift giver or gift receiver who's giving a little list of things that you'd like to get for that period. Or, back to school is not really gift giving necessarily, but it is about like making sure that you have the right thing for your kid who's going to school. I think that's really different than July 4th sale or President's Day, where it's just value. It's truly promotional, and Amazon Prime fits into that. It's truly a promotional component. And so if you are buying random household goods as a gift, then that's a good time to buy it, because they'll definitely be on sale.
People only have so much money, and even though people, you do see retail sales going up pretty much every year, slightly more dollars. Zach was writing that Summerween pulls some of that spending forward and gives budget-conscious shoppers playful reason to open their wallets, even if they're feeling spooked, well played, by the economy. Sky, how much of a concern is there that this is just pulling money from the spending that they would have done in October for Halloween, or from other holidays?
I think it's more around, with each holiday, we see retailers stretching out the sales and promotional calendar longer so that the marketing starts earlier. Even the big sales like Prime Day are lasting longer. And that's not so much pulling money from other holidays as much as moving it around and spreading it out. I think when we look at the traditional holiday shopping season, which in our forecast is November and December, one reason why we're expecting weaker sales growth this year is because more shopping activity is taking place earlier. I think, for example, if you have someone on your list that you've got a big ticket item for and you think the price might go up by the time November, December roll around, more likely to buy it now or during the recent Prime Day sales than in that 2-month window that we traditionally think of as a holiday shopping season.
And I think when you think about the other holidays, you are seeing the stores merchandised a little bit earlier than in the past. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But to Sky's point, I don't think that the money is moving around. It's not like just because Valentine's Day is over or overlapping with Easter chocolate, because now things are so much longer than before the windows, that you're not going to buy a heart and you're going to buy a bunny instead. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the holidays feel like they're overlapping more, but I think it's partly because in a for example, pharmacy or a drugstore, there are seasonal sort of end caps. And so it's just easier to go from one to the next. And sometimes there's a little bit of overlap if there's extra inventory, then it truly was meant to be like moving money from one holiday to the other.
So is this going to be like a rising, overlapping tide lifts all boats? Because do we think that there won't be any holidays that lose out in the shuffle because of this?
I mean, that's a tough one, right? I think retail might lose out if people are becoming more and more cost conscious and trading down and foregoing holidays because it's man-made or it didn't meet their needs of community or, fill in the gaps. Like, I don't know, I've never done Galentine's Day. I'm not sure that I ever would. I have some amazing girlfriends, but it's just not part of my world. So if more and more of these types of holidays don't inspire people, maybe we'll lose out, but I don't think individually.
As we get more of these retailer-driven shopping events, that might pull away from some of those calendar holidays that are marketed as shopping or sales periods. Like I'm thinking of like Memorial Day, for example, which traditionally is a time for people maybe to refresh their wardrobes or buy outdoor patio furniture or grills. And now if they know that there's going to be a huge Prime Day sale event 6 weeks later, they might hold out and wait, or you'll see an overlap between 4th of July sales and the Prime Day or Prime adjacent sales from competing retailers, and so that might pull away from some 4th of July marketing around sales.
Yeah. Any concern that consumers just won't ever want to pay full price for things because they're always going to be looking for a deal?
Yeah, I think as there are more sales and consumers have them in mind, they wait to buy things. And, we see retailers like Amazon and others launching more category-specific sales. In addition to the July Prime Day and the October Prime Day, Amazon also has a big spring sale, which is not limited to Prime members. And they've launched a bunch of category-specific events around beauty, pets, and books that also take place in the spring. So if consumers know that these events are coming, they are more likely to wait to stock up when they do happen.
Yeah. What holiday do we think? I mean, you mentioned Prime Day started as a one-day event 10 years ago. Now it spans over 4 days. What holiday, Suzy, do you think will most likely bleed into a different month? Or is there a holiday like a Prime Day that you can see becoming a week, becoming 2 weeks, becoming an entire month potentially?
So I think we're starting to see all of the holidays sort of try and take up more space. It might not move into a completely different month, but you will see the merchandising and the marketing bleed out longer. Yep. I don't think anything's going to get replaced necessarily, but I do think retailers really need to think about their strategy and think about holidays as either a branding play or a performance play, and to really think about that emotional connection versus the purely promotional connection. So I think each retailer might play the holiday differently, but I think they're all here to stay in some capacity.
Yeah.
When I think of Halloween, when I was a kid growing up, it really was just that one day or night. And now with a daughter of my own, it's more like a season. We have weeks of different events from her school. And then, of course, ending with the big night itself. And then she doesn't want to wear the same costume for every event. So we have multiple costumes. So yes, there is definitely more spending. There's more candy consumption taking place across these weeks versus one night. So that's another way where it's not just where sales will increase, but not just because there's more marketing leading up to that event, but because the whole period has been extended.
Yeah. And the other thing, which we didn't really touch on, and it's maybe too big of a topic for us here, but don't forget that when you have these moments in time and you're driving traffic to your store or to your website, if you also have a retail media network, you're also able to capitalize. It's like you've planned ahead to drive traffic, and so now can start selling ads and fueling that business in a different way.
I love that your daughter's like, I won't be caught dead in a Captain Marvel costume 2 nights in a row. You kidding me?
I think it might be both of us. I want her to enjoy Halloween and have, a full experience. Yeah. It's not necessarily she needs more costumes. It's just that we're creative and we come up with different ideas.
Yeah,
and
I like it. Final question here. What small daily holiday, I'm calling these, has the most potential to catch fire? What am I talking about? Well, today happens to be National Day for Play. But for example, this month, you have National Book Lovers Day, August 9th, Middle Child Day on the 12th, where finally we can get some attention, kind of attention we deserve. And National Dog Day, August 26th. Suzy, which small daily holiday do you see becoming even bigger?
I mean, you picked some good ones because I think the ones that are more likely to turn into a retail event are the ones where there is some sort of either cultural play, an emotional push, that you can have strong visuals around, some strong sort of associations that you have the opportunity to potentially go viral, play on words, maybe a little bit of competition. So I was thinking about National Coffee Day, which I'm sorry, I don't know what day that is, but like Starbucks fighting against, I say fighting in a very nice way, of course, Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, at sort of magical branding sort of words. But I think you can't just jump on a national day without thinking about your packaging, your merchandising, you have to be all in for it to work.
Sky?
So one I've been excited about since I was a child is International Children's Day. And I think retailers have really missed out on that opportunity, and not just for kids, but for adults as well. Now, it is more, I think, of a socialist holiday, kind of like International Women's Day and the International Labor Day, May 1st. So maybe that's tinged its potential. But in China, those are big marketing opportunities. And Children's Day in particular is not just for kids now, but it's also for Gen Z to indulge in nostalgia. And a lot of brands have capitalized on that. One example I remember from a couple of years ago was a popular Chinese liquor brand created a boozy ice cream. It may have been a collaboration too, and it was a huge hit and took off. So you also have all like the kidult brands like Pop Mart, that's best known for the Labubu doll craze. And, those brands also market around the International Children's Day, not just to children, but it can be a holiday for everyone.
10 points. Suzy, you were right at the start of the episode. Sky did win. Anyway, that's all we've got time for.
There's no game.
That's what you thought.
But maybe Summerween is our version of that, where kids and adults can enjoy a made-up holiday and indulge in more nostalgia in the summer as well.
Indeed. An excellent note to end on. Thank you so much to my guests for hanging out with me today. Thank you to Suzy.
Thanks for having me back.
And of course to Sky.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And thanks to the whole editing crew and to everyone for listening to Reimagining Retail, an eMarketer podcast made possible by Awin. I hope to see you on Friday for the Behind the Numbers show, where we'll be discussing Google.